Everyone, thanks for joining me. Welcome to our online yoga studio. Today's class, the class that you've joined, may not be today. You can that you join. It may be evening or early morning or afternoon. Is going to be an overall yoga practice, yoga flow class, very similar to the type of classes that I teach in person at the studio I work at in Pacifica. Be a little slower, maybe a little simpler, a little simplified. Teaching any real complicated, intricate poses online on Zoom. For me, I prefer not to do that because you don't have a good visual. I'm not seeing you to, answer questions, correct alignment, posture, etc. So overall, when I teach that type of practice online on Zoom, I keep it fairly basic, simple. A lot of the poses, flows we're going to do are things we incorporate into the other more specific types of classes, say, okay, so a class on hamstrings, a class on hips, etc. So some of the things we'll be doing today, we would be doing, say, in a class like that. So it should be familiar if you've practiced with me a lot or before, or you practice yoga in general. Start off a little slower, warm up, give our bodies time to warm up. We'll move then into a series of sun salutations, which is a real classic sequence of poses taught in most yoga classes, and especially in the style I teach, which is called Vinyasa style yoga. Again, we'll go pretty slow, nothing, really fast, energetic, too demanding. But if you need a break anytime, feel free to take a break. All right, just back off, come rest in child's pose, which we will take together in a moment, one of our opening poses. Or just take a break, pause this, go get a drink. That's the beauty of a recorded class. You can pause it, walk away if you need to do something, and then come back and rejoin when you're ready. All right, let's move to our mats. If you're not there, I'm going to move to my mat, and we're going to begin this class laying on our backs. We're going to take some opening poses, stretches, hip openers on our backs. So come lay flat. You're not going to need any props right now. Just you and your mat. And come lay flat. You can start with both knees bent, both feet on the mat. Before we go further, take a moment to just kind of feel yourself melting into the ground, just kind of really connecting with the ground beneath you, pressing the back of the skull and the shoulder blades and the whole spine into your mat. From here, you're going to hug the right knee into the chest. You can continue to keep the left knee bent, or you can slide it to straight now, or in a moment when we'll do that together. But for now, just kind of hold on beneath the knee, top of the shin, middle of the shin, and you're going to start to gently circle that right knee and hip around to the right. Okay, just a really gentle, easy hip opener here. Very accessible hip opener. And then make those circles towards the left. Take it the other way. All right, now we're going to go just a little bit deeper into this hip opener. So you're going to open that knee and shin to the side. This is figure 4 shape or pigeon shape. Flex the right foot and you're going to hold on to the foot with the left hand. The right hand is going to continue to support that upper shin. So we're trying to make as much as possible that shin parallel in front of us. And then we rock it side to side, to and fro. And this is a little bit bigger hip opener. If for any reason it feels too intense, go back and do a few more rounds that we did opening, just circling the knee around side to side. One more breath. All right, now from here, you're going to bring that right leg into happy baby, just the right side, half happy baby. So you want to really flex the right foot. If you can, hold on to the outer edge, the pinky edge of that foot. If that is too far to reach, then you just kind of hold on to the ankle or the very low part of the shin. You want to start to gently ease that right knee down towards the right shoulder. Keep gazing up towards the sky. And now if the left leg is still bent, the knee is still bent, you're going to slide it out to straight. You're going to flex that left foot beyond the heel. And then you're going to lift the head and shoulders. And just for a breath, you're going to float that left foot up. Let it hover, flex the foot deeply, Gaze at the left big toe for one more breath. All right, you're gonna let everything go. Come back to where we began with both knees bent, both feet on the mat. Start by hugging the left knee in, and then we just start those really easy circles to the left. So best to keep the circles a little small to start until you gauge how open the hip feels, how this movement feels. And then if you're ready, you can start to make the circles bigger, but that's not necessary. And then take the circles the other way. So again here, right knee can stay bent for now, or you can slide it to straight whenever you want. One more breath. All right, now, again, begin to open that left knee and shin so it's a little more parallel. So again, flex the left foot. That helps protect the knee. Hold on to that foot with the right hand, and then kind of support the left knee, upper shin with the left hand. Then you rock side to side. So again, attempting as much as you can without tweaking the knee to make that shin parallel to the top of the mat. One more breath. All right, now coming right into that half happy baby. So if you can, again, holding on to the pinky edge of the left foot, bend the knee towards the shoulder, and then let's begin, if it's not there already, take that right leg to straight, flex the foot beyond the heel. All right, last part, lift the head and shoulders, and then just a little bit, float that right heel up to hover. Flex the foot deeply to wake up that leg, look at the toe. One more breath. All right, you're going to lower head and shoulders down. Now you're going to keep the left side in half happy baby, and then the right leg is going to join it. So now we're in full happy baby pose. And you can rock a little side to side. So I'm starting with some easy, really easy, accessible hip opening poses here. One more breath. All right, from here, let's hug both knees to the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, rock a little right and left, side to side. Maybe take some circles around on the low back, little low back massage. Keep the knees hugged in. You're going to shift the hips to the left edge of your mat as you let the knees drift to the right. Ground the shoulder blades and begin to turn the chest over towards the left side. And we're going to hold 3 easy breaths in this reclined twist. I often end class with a twist, but it's really nice to start class with a twist as well to begin to find that mobility and flexibility in the spine and open up the chest so we can breathe a little deeply, easily. Roll onto the back as you inhale. Wrap the arms around the shins again, hugging close. This time bump the hips over to the right as the knees fall to the left. We ground the shoulder blades. Elbows could be bent or arms straight. And then slowly start to turn left side of the chest over to the right. Watch the neck. Doesn't have to turn all the way and look over the right shoulder. Maybe you're instead gazing up towards the ceiling. Take just another breath here. And then roll onto the back. Step the feet to the mat. Push yourself up and come find your way to a seat. So here's where you could sit if you want. Not going to be sitting down for too long this opening round. Later on, we'll come back, but you could sit on a folded, nice firm folded blanket or a firm cushion. Again, avoid sitting on like soft, fluffy pillows because they may feel good on your seat, but they're not giving you any support. You're just pretty much just sinking into the ground. So if you need support, it's fine to get something a little firmer under your seat. So come into a cross-legged position if that's comfortable. And you're going to reach both arms overhead. And you're going to bend the elbows and take hold of opposite elbows. It doesn't matter which one. And from here, let's come into a little side bend over to your right. So keep that left sit bone grounded. One more breath. All right, rise up. Just briefly change the clasp of the elbows. And then bend over to the left this time. You're going to rise in the inhale. This time you're going to take the arms behind the back. And you're going to bend the elbows. And again, take opposite elbows. Press the forearm that's closest to the body against the low back to help you sit up a little taller. Think of it as a prop. And now we're going to take a little twist. Seated twist. Over to our right. Maybe gaze softly over the right shoulder, just down the bridge of the nose. by the outer hip. Come to center. Again, you're just going to briefly switch the grip, press that front forearm into the low back, little boost there, a little assist, and then turn over to your left into a very easy twist. All right, taking time to warm up the spine, so not delving too deep into these twists maybe right from the start. Come back to center. Now you're going to bring the hands behind the back. You're going to interlace the fingers. You're going to open the chest to the sky, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then start to come into a forward fold. Bowing the forehead and the chest down towards the ground, making sure here that both sit bones are grounded. One more breath, slowly rise. Release the interlace of the hands, uncross the legs, and you're going to find your way to all fours. So if you're sitting on a blanket or cushion, move it aside for now. And set this pose up. So hands about shoulder distance. Nice little soft bend in the elbows. Nothing too intense, but you don't want to lock out the joints. You can either press the tops of the feet into the mat, or you can tuck the toes, lift the heels. See what feels better. And you're going to round the spine as you tuck in for cat pose. And then exhale, go the other way. Gaze forward, broaden across the chest, and find cow. And we're going to move back and forth between these a few rounds. Nice, easy warm up for the spine. Inviting a little more movement into the spine. All right, so the twist, again, really good for mobility, flexibility. The cat-cow articulates the spine, gets it moving a little more. As you pull in for cat, start to engage that core, deep core a little more by pulling the belly button back towards the spine. Let's find one more time here. Just easy. And then open up. And now from here, begin to walk the hands out in front of you and be tent onto the fingers. And then sink the hips back and melt the heart down. And now we're in child's pose that I mentioned before. You can flatten the palms or stay on the fingertips. The knees can touch here or be a little apart. Begin to lengthen through the upper back and the shoulders and the whole length of the spine. Staying here a few more breaths. Try to make it a little more active, a little longer, by stretching the sit bones back towards the heels to really lengthen out that whole back body. One more breath, slowly lift up. Come back onto all fours, hands and knees. From here, tuck the toes. Lift, step the feet back to a high plank position. And now from here, we're going to take the hips up, walk the feet in, and arrive in downward facing dog. So quite a few downward dogs in this practice, especially with all the sun salutations and all the other flows. So let's take a few opening breaths here to really set this pose up properly. Hands remain shoulder distance, ideally spread through the fingers and ground more through the thumb and index finger. You want to find here a little gentle external rotation of the upper biceps. The feet are about hips distance, so you can always step them a little wider. Sometimes that feels better in our hamstrings and low back. And the knees can be bent a little or a lot. If the legs are mostly straight, then you have to pay more attention to having a little bend in the knees because we don't want to lock out those joints. Lift the hips up towards the sky and begin to drop the chest down a little more towards the ground. Keep the neck protected in this pose. Don't crimp the neck, so we don't want to tuck the chin into the chest. We don't want to shove it forward. We want it somewhere in between. So a good gazing point here in downward facing dog is at the tips of the toes. All right, from here, we're going to take the right leg to the sky into a three-leg dog. From here, keep the leg lifted. You're going to put a deep bend in the knee. Flex the foot, so you want to tap yourself in the butt with your heel. Now begin to turn from the waist to look under the right arm. And now kind of mimicking what we did on our backs in the opening pose. You're going to begin to circle that right knee and hip around to the right. It's a bigger movement, a bigger opening. And now again, circle the other way. Circle inwards towards the left. So we get the whole hip joint nice and warm and mobile. Keep the knee lifted, and then you're going to straighten the leg and point the toe. So we have this nice long diagonal line here on the right side, creating length and space. Turn back to your three-leg dog, and then gently lower the right foot back to the mat, back to downward facing dog.
Left side now. First, take the left leg to the sky to three-leg dog. And then you bend the knee, open the hip, lift the knee up, flex the foot, gaze under the left armpit, start to find those circles around to the left. Waking up the hip, mobility here. Take the circles the other way, circling inward towards the right leg. And then lift the knee a little higher, straighten the leg, point the toe. Diagonal line here. One more breath, turn all the way forward. Drop the left foot down. We are back in downward facing dog. So we breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Make the breath a little deeper if you get tired, if the breath starts to sound shallow, choppy to you, that's your cue to breathe a little more fully. From here, from downward dog, you're going to walk the hands to your feet at the back of the mat. Maybe grab a couple of yoga blocks if you need. Otherwise, you can just tent onto the fingers. You're going to gaze forward to the top of the mat first to open the chest. And now you're going to fold fully over the legs into a standing forward fold. So the knees can be really bent here. Again, even if they're mostly straight, don't walk out the knees. Encourage that small bend or big bend in the knees. Pay attention to how this pose feels. It's deep forward fold in your hamstrings, the backs of the legs, backs of the knees, and especially in the low back. It's kind of a nice pose if your back is tight, sore, to kind of decompress the spine, reset it, let it hang down. We're here for one more breath. And now from here, lift the chest, and you're going to walk yourself back out to a high plank pose. All right. From here, gaze down between the hands, steady the left side, and float the right toes up to hover. Keep the foot flexed, toes pointing down. Slowly lower the right foot down and then repeat with the left. Float the left foot up into a three-legged plank pose. And then lower down. Now, you're going to keep both feet grounded. This one's a little harder to keep steady, to keep facing the mat. You're going to press down through the left palm and try to sweep the right arm by the ear without twisting the hips too much. Lower the right hand down, reset, and then left arm by the ear. So the hips really want to swivel to the side. So the work is, again, to use that core strength and keep them facing forward. Drop the left hand down. You're going to bend the knees, and you're going to step all the way, walk to the top of the mat, pop the hands to the hips, and now you're slowly going to roll all the way up to stand. Take your time, and once you stand, come to the top of your mat. You can either keep the feet a little separate, or if it feels okay, you could step the feet in close enough that the mounds of the big toes touch. Take a moment before we go any further. We're going to start again those sun salutations I mentioned. We're going to do 3 half sun salutations, 3 sun salutation A's, and 3 sun salutation B's. So you kind of build, add on another little part each time. But before we go, take a moment to stand up tall. This is mountain pose. All right, so you really want to feel a good grounding, a good base through the soles of the feet. Spread evenly through the toes. Ground through the inner and outer edges, front and back of the feet. Begin to feel all that energizing come up the fronts of the shins, backs of the calves, front and backs of the knees, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the core, the glutes, all the way up the spine, standing up tall through the crown of the head. Roll the shoulders back to broaden across the chest. With your next inhale, sweep the arms overhead. Now join the palms, gaze up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to dive back down into that forward fold. So maybe have your yoga blocks at the top of your mat if this is a challenging pose for you. Press the palms to the shins this time as you gaze forward. And then as you exhale, you're going to fold again. You're going to circle the arms overhead as you rise back up. Join the palms. And then with your exhale, once again, release the arms by the sides back to mountain pose. Reach the arms overhead. Inhale, press the palms together. This time, keep the palms pressed together. Let's take a side bend, standing side bend over to the right, bending over to the right as you bump the left hip off to the left. As you inhale, rise, palms stay connected, and take a side bend to the left. Inhale, rise, and the exhale, dive back down to that forward fold. Use your blocks into your hands as you need. Palms to shins, flatten the spine as you gaze forward. And then exhale, you're going to fold once again over the legs. You're going to rise up as you inhale, reach the arms skyward, join the palms. And then as you exhale, release the arms by the sides. One more half. Those are half sun salutations, just half of the sequence. You're going to reach the arms up to the sky by the ears. This time you're going to bend the elbows into what we call cactus arms. And you're going to start to open the chest a little bit to the sky. So it's a very gentle standing back bend. Hard opener, nice stretch opening for the upper back and the shoulder blades. And then slowly fold back down to the ground. As you inhale, find that half lift. And then exhale, we're going to fold over the legs again. We're going to rise with the inhale, circle the arms up, join the palms. And then exhale, release the arms by the side. So those are our 3 half sun salutations. We're going to add on another piece to that now for what we call sun salutation A. Inhale, we start the same way. Circle the arms up, palms meet. Exhale, fold back down to the mat. Press the palms to the shins as you gaze forward. This time, hands down. You're going to step to high plank. You're going to drop on all fours, hands and knees. You're going to curl in again for cat. You're going to open up again for cow. Keep the toes tucked, and you're going to lift the hips right up into downward facing dog. And we're going to spend 2 breaths here. Inhaling again fully through the nose. And exhaling through the nose. So we try to avoid as much as possible in yoga, especially vinyasa style like we're doing, to exhale through the mouth. Occasionally, you'll get the cue to do that, but most times you want to keep that breath in and out through the nose, keep the lips sealed. On your next inhale, put a bend in the knees, look to the top of your mat, and then walk yourself forward. Press the palms to the shins, flatten the spine, gaze out in front of you. And then exhale, you're going to come back to that deep standing forward fold. You're going to rise. As you inhale, sweep the arms up, join the palms overhead. And as you exhale, once again, come back to mountain pose, standing tall. Round 2, we're going to do 3. Inhale, circle the arms up, a little bit different each time. Exhale, dive back down to your mat. Half lift, flat back. Hands down, step to plank. This time we're simply going to hold plank a breath. Once again, core, super important here in this pose, belly to spine. And then take the hips back up, maybe walk the feet in a bit. Downward facing dog, melt the heart down. Really feel this pose. Whole body works here, upper, lower body, front and back, both sides. One more deep breath here in downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, look to the top of your mat, step or walk forward. Palms come back to the shins as you gaze out in front of you. And then exhale, we fold again. Rise on straight legs, sweep the arms to the sky, gaze up towards the thumbs. With your exhale, once again, release the arms by the side, roll the shoulders back to mountain pose. One more sun salutation A, and then the sun salutation B is a little bit different, a little longer. As you inhale, once again, sweep the arms up. Exhale, dive down to the ground. Take a half lift, inhale. Hands down, this time once again, step to plank. This time we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. Come on to the forehead, the chest and belly, hip points on the mat, legs are long. Step the hands in by the outer ribs. You want to bend the elbows and gently hug the outer ribs in. With an inhale, you're going to lift the head and shoulders into cobra pose, a very gentle back bend. Keep the chin lower than the forehead, so once again, you're not straining the neck. One more breath, drop the forehead down, tuck the toes, lift a high plank, take the hips to the sky, back to downward facing dog. It's 2 rounds of breath here. Breathing in a little deeper, inhale, and then exhale a little more fully through the nose. One more big breath like that. Pull in fresh air, inhale. Exhale with the old air we don't need anymore, go. And then we bend the knees, look between the hands, walk ourselves to the top of the mat. Palms press to shins as again you open the heart forward, and then exhale, fold. Rise up, sweep up, gaze up, lengthen up.
And then as you exhale, release the arms by the sides. Again, little roll of the shoulders, little broadening across the chest as you find mountain pose. All right, this time you're going to bend the knees. We're going to start our sun salutation B's, and we're going to find chair pose, a deep squat. So here, traditionally, we have the arms reaching up by the ears. Sometimes that doesn't feel nice on our shoulders. So I suggest you bend the elbows back to that cactus shape, or you could bring the hands to the heart in a prayer position. You could bring the hands to the hips. In this chair pose, the knees can touch, or you can separate the feet a little bit. That usually sometimes feels better on our low back. Sink down a little deeper, lift up a little higher, the chest, one more breath. And now straighten the legs and again sweep the arms up, join the palms. Exhale, fold back down to the mat. Take a half lift, step to plank pose. Lower back down to all fours, hands and knees. Round the spine, tuck the chin for cat. Open the chest, broaden across the collarbones for cow. Tuck the toes, lift the hips back up. Find downward facing dog. You're going to take the right leg to three-leg dog, lift it up to the sky. With your exhale, step it forward. Drop onto the left knee, walk the hands in, and bring the hands to the outer hips as you lift the spine and find a low lunge. So you want the hands of the outer hips, you want the heels of the palms, just really firmly pressing into those outer hips, and kind of use those hands there to maybe help you sink a little deeper into that right knee, to keep the spine really tall here. So getting a little more into those outer hips this way. All right, from here, bring the right hand to the right thigh. Take the left arm up to the sky by the ear. From here, we're going to keep the spine nice and tall, but we're going to start to turn over to our right side. Keep that left arm lifting, stretch the fingers up towards the sky. Press the right palm firmly into that right thigh. Slowly turn back forward. Lower the hands down. Just step onto all fours, hands and knees. So just step that right knee back to the mat. Round in again for cat. Exhale, open up again for cow. Tuck all 10 toes. Lift the hips up to downward facing dog once again. Left side. So with the sun salutation B's, we do the sequence on the right and the left side. So we take the left leg to the sky right now. And then exhale, big step through. Carefully lower onto the right knee. Walk the hands in. And again, we start this with the hands at the outer hips. Pressing the heels of the palms, almost using that to kind of, in a way, stretch the skin of those outer hips down a little closer to the ground to maybe help us sink a bit deeper into that lunge. All right, now bring the left hand to the left thigh. Take the right arm up to the sky by the ear. Reach out longer through the fingertips. Keep the spine nice and tall. We're just going to start to turn over to the left. Take one more breath here. And then turn forward. Bring the hands down. Again, just kind of step that left foot right back onto the mat. Back to tabletop. Round in for cat. Exhale, open up for cow. Tuck the toes. Let the hips lift back up to downward facing dog. We're going to take 2 breaths here. A big breath in through the nose. And a deep, full breath out through the nose. Take one more round like that. Big breath in. Deep breath out. And put a bend in the knees. Look to the top of your mat. And then walk yourself forward. Once again, press the palms to the low shins as you open the chest. And then exhale, fold over the legs. Rise on straight legs. Sweep the arms overhead. Let the palms tap. Once again, release the arms by the side. Finding mountain pose. All right, bend the knees to chair pose. This is sun salutation B, round 2. This time, keep the hands at the hips, just to change it up. I want you to look down at the feet, and you're going to lift all 10 toes up off the mat. So even that little pinky toe, it's stubborn, it's weak. It's usually the weakest of the toes. So try to lift it up, might take a little more effort. Now, keep looking at the feet. You're going to drop the balls of the feet, drop the toes down, press into the balls of the feet, and see if you can lift the heels up. Just an inch. Feel a little wobbly, maybe. Drop the heels down. Sweep the arms up by the ears. Stay in this chair pose, this deep squat. One more breath. And then inhale, straighten the legs. Let the palms meet. As you exhale, fold back down to the mat. Palms to shins. Gaze forward. Inhale. Hands down. Step to plank.
Hold your plank a breath. Nice, strong, steady plank. And then take the hips up and find downward facing dog. Take the right leg to the sky to three-leg dog. This time you're going to keep the hands down as you step the right foot forward into what we call runner's lunge pose. So the left toes are tucked, left heel is lifted, and that left leg, straight left leg is super, super strong and engaged. Keep the left hand on the mat, or you could use a yoga block under it. You're going to twist open to the right, reach the right arm to the sky. So here in this twist, you want to watch the position of that right hip. It likes on its own to kind of travel off the center line. It likes to bump out to the right. Keep it in center. One more breath. Turn forward. Both hands down. Step the right foot to join the left and plank. Hold this plank again. One big breath in and a deep breath out. And then let the hips rise back up to downward facing dog. Take the left leg to the sky to three-leg dog. And then exhale. Step it through. Find that runner's lunge. Again, you can have blocks under the hands. Back leg, that right leg, really lift up through it. Really engage the whole leg. Keep the right hand down. Open to the left, easy twist. Again, watch that left hip. Center line, squeeze the inner thighs together. That helps square off the hips. One more breath in this twist. Turn all the way forward, both hands down. Step to plank, hold your plank. One big breath. And then hips rise. Back to downward dog. 2 breaths here. Using these moments in down dog where we're still working the whole body, but we're not actively moving. So we kind of use these moments here to recover and refresh and restore a little bit. But if you need a deeper rest, a quieter pose, you come back to child's pose that we did earlier. All right, bend the knees, look forward, walk yourself to the top of the mat, press the palms to the shins, gaze forward, and then exhale, fold. Rise up, inhale, reach the arms up, lengthen up. Exhale, release the arms by the sides to mountain pose. All right, one more sun salutation beat. So we bend the knees back to chair pose. Once again, you can take any position with the arms, reach them up by the ears, keep them at the heart in a prayer position, bend them cactus arms, hands to hips. Don't round the spine here, gaze out in front of you. Take one more breath in this nice deep chair pose, and then rise, join the palms. Exhale, fold back down to the mat. Palms to shins, gaze forward, hands down, step to plank. Lower all the way down to the mat. Step the hands in by the ribs, bend the elbows, rise up to cobra. Hug the outer ribs in. This time give the glutes a little squeeze, a good pose. It's a back bend, heart opener, but also a nice little pose to give those glutes a little attention. Drop the forehead down, tuck the toes, push to plank, take the hips up to downward facing dog. You're going to take the right leg back to the sky to three-leg dog. You're going to step it forward, and this time we're going to rise up and find a high lunge pose. So a nice tall spine. Back toes tucked, back heel lift. Right knee is bent right over that ankle. Both arms reach skyward. Tall spine. From here, join the hands at the heart in a prayer position. You're going to turn to your right. Keep the spine tall, and you're going to open the arms in opposite directions. Stretch the fingers opposite from each other to open up more space in the chest and upper back. Turn all the way forward. Return the arms up to the sky by the ears. And then you're going to lean forward. Sweep the arms back by the outer hips. So the palms face in towards the outer hips and the belly's hovering over the thigh. And you're gazing down at your right big toe, holding here a moment, building up a little more core strength. And then release the hands all the way to the mat. Step to plank. Again, you're going to bring yourself all the way down to the mat. So when you lower, you can come through top of a push-up. If you have that lower upper body strength, or if your shoulders are shaky, then you drop onto the knees first and then lower all the way. Both are fine. Once again, step the hands in by the ribs, bend the elbows, lift up into cobra. Maybe it's there. We've done a few of these now. Maybe you can lift a little higher, or maybe not. One more breath. Drop the forehead down, tuck the toes, come back to high plank, hips up, downward facing dog. Let's try that on side two. Take the left leg to the sky to three-leg dog. Exhale, step it forward, and you're going to rise up and again find that high lunge pose. So before we twist, pause here, tall spine, gaze out in front of you, lengthen up from the low back, reach all 10 fingers to the sky. Join the hands at the heart in a prayer position. Turn to the left and then open the arms wide. Spread. Feel how that broadens the chest and the upper back. Come forward. Arms by ears. Pause here a moment. Get length. Stretch all 10 fingers up so you get more length in the side body. And then you start to fold part way. Sweep the arms back, facing in by the outer hips. The belly is hovering. It's not resting on that left thigh. It's hovering. And then you lower the hands all the way to the mat. Step back to plank. Again, you choose how you get down to the mat. Lower down top of a push-up or drop the knees. Step the hands back by the ribs and again, roll up, lift up to cobra. Squeeze the glutes. Watch the chin where it's at. One more breath. Drop the forehead down. Tuck the toes. Rise back up, downward dog. Take a couple breaths here. So these sun salutations, and oftentimes we call them vinyasas. A lot of repetition, okay, just over and over again. So it's a lot of movement, a lot of synchronizing the movements of the body with the breath. That's what really distinguishes vinyasa style yoga from some other types of yoga. It's just that movement, inhale, exhale, moving, synchronizing. It's like a little sequence, almost like a little choreography in a way. All right, from here, you're going to take the right leg to three-leg dog. This time you're going to roll forward, and as you do, bend the right knee and bring the knee towards the nose. Lift up a little higher on the ball of the left foot. Curl in belly to spine. It's like a cat pose. You're going to take that right leg back up to the sky. This time as you roll to plank, you're going to bend the right knee and aim it in the direction of that right elbow or tricep. Gaze forward. Find cow pose. Inhale. Straighten back to three-leg dog. And this time we're going to add a twist. So as you roll to plank, you're going to twist over to your left and aim your right knee towards the left elbow. Come back to your three-leg dog. Lift the right leg straight to the sky. Step it forward to runner's lunge to start. Now, you can take the hands down on the mat. Use blocks if you have two blocks, one hand on each block. First, we're going to step that back foot in one or two steps, but you're going to keep the heel lifted. You're going to begin to straighten the right leg, and you're going to float the right toes up. So you're on the right heel and the ball of the left foot. The right toes and the left heel are lifted. You're going to gaze forward to lengthen the spine, and then you're going to fold over that right leg. So it's just a variation of pyramid pose. What we call full pose, both feet are grounded. Soles of both feet are grounded. That makes it a little more challenging if you have tight hamstrings or a tight low back. So we're making it a little more accessible in this moment. A little easier, perhaps. One more breath. All right, first we lower the right foot down. We rebend the right knee. Step the left foot back a little to a runner's lunge. Step to plank. Hold your plank. Take the hips up. Downward facing dog. Let's do that all over again on the left side. Take the left leg to the sky to three-leg dog. First part, we roll forward, knee to nose, chin to chest, belly to spine. We lift that right heel up a little higher. We take the leg straight back, and then we roll forward, bend the left knee in the direction of the left elbow. Gaze forward, find cow pose. Inhale, last part, three-leg dog. Now we twist to the right, aim the knee towards the elbow. Take that leg to three-leg dog. Exhale, step it back to runner's lunge. Start there. Get grounded and steady again. Use blocks under the hams. First part, you bump the right foot in, maybe just one or two bumps. Keep the heel lifted. Then begin to straighten the left leg and float the toes up. So you also want to try to square off the hips there. First, gaze forward, open the chest, and then fold over the leg. So be careful, even with the toes lifted, you still want to focus on bending that front knee and not locking the knee out and not overstraining the hamstrings. Also here, You want to square off the hips. And we do that by gently drawing the left hip back and the right side of the pelvis forward. One more breath. Drop the left toes down, bend the knee. Step the right foot back to runner's lunge. Left foot to plank. Hold your plank. 2 breaths. Belly to spine. Legs are strong. Arms are strong. Whole body is strong. From here, drop the knees to the mat and come lay on your back, taking a little break from all of these flows, all of these vinyasas, all of these standing poses with some core work. Really important core work into these vinyasa classes, these flow classes, these general overall yoga classes. It's rare that I don't throw in some core work. I also try to do it pretty much every class I teach, unless it's, say, like a full restorative, a whole 1 hour, 90-minute restorative class, which I don't really teach that often. Then it would really be appropriate. But almost every time, because the core is a real integral part of a yoga practice, of good overall fitness. Keeping the core strong helps keep the back strong, helps with everything, really. So here, we're going to take the legs long, walk the legs together so the inner knees touch and point the toes. Now, sweep the arms long overhead. Before we go, we're going to do this hollow hold, what we call exercise. Get a little length in the whole body. So just take a moment, kind of stretch one leg, one arm, point the toes, reach out a little longer through the fingers. So it benefits you to get as much length in right and left side, front and back of the body as possible before we go deeper. All right, pause. First, lift the head and shoulders and the arms. So again, the palms kind of facing towards each other. Now lift the feet up, float them up. So we're already in this hollow hold position. Now you're going to circle the arms around, and as you do, hug the knees into the chest. And then straighten them back out, but keep them hovering. Again, sweep the arms around, hug the knees to the chest. As you exhale, come back, straight arms, straight leg. We're going to do 4 more. Circle, hug, exhale, reach long. Keep going. Hug the knees to the chest. Exhale, back to that hollow hold. 2 more, just 2 more. Curl in, hug in. Exhale, reach long. 1 more time, then we hold. Curl in, hold. Keep holding, or you can start to paddle the arms and legs like you're doing some kind of strange little backstroke here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down. Hug the knees in. Wrap the arms around the shin like we did beginning of class. Rock a little right. Rock a little left. Maybe circle around with the low back. Press it into the mat. And then from here, cross one ankle over the other. You're going to rock yourself up. Come back briefly to all fours, hands and knees. And we're going to take 3 rounds of cat-cow. So after doing that core work, nice to kind of smooth things out here. Take 1 more time, curl in. And 1 more time, open up. From here, tuck the toes and lift the hips back up. Find downward facing dog again. And returning now to that breath, that big breath in and out. Breathing in and out through the nose, that more efficient breath. So the idea behind breathing in and out through the nose is that we don't expend as much energy and we don't get as tired, and we can stay in this practice longer without having to take breaks. All right, from downward dog, we're going to take the right leg back up to the sky, straighten the leg, 3-leg dog. You're going to step it forward. And this time you're going to rise up into warrior 2 pose. So both feet on the mat, right knee is bent. Take a look down at the knee. Make sure it's right over the ankle. Back leg is straight. Maybe squiggle it back a little. Take a longer stance, or if you have really short legs, it might be better to scoop it in a little and take a narrower stance. You want to be slightly turning the toes in, just very slight. Really grounding through that whole foot, especially the outer edge. That's going to help activate the straight leg, and it's going to distribute the weight a little more evenly. So oftentimes in this pose, that front knee that's bent, that thigh, that quad, really starts shaking after a while because it's doing most of the load bearing here. But if you can remember to also engage that back leg, it's going to help a lot. All right, now arms to a T, tall spine. Gaze out over the right fingers, lift up tall through the crown of the head, and find warrior two pose. If you can, lift the arms a little higher. Kind of don't sag. And it's fine to have a little bend, but you don't want them like down here. You want them up in line with the shoulders. From here, we turn the right palm to the sky, and then you sweep that arm up and back and come into reverse warrior pose. So if you're able, bend a little deeper into the right knee. That will ease you a little more into the side bend. It's a big side body stretch, big side body opening. All right, we're going to keep the upper body exactly as it is. We're just going to begin to straighten the right leg and come into reverse triangle. So the legs are straight, but you still want that little soft bend in the front knee. You may not even be able to, someone was looking at you, they may not be able to tell you've got a little bend in the knee, but you know you do. All right, from here, lift up on straight legs, arms to a T, and you're going to turn to face the side of your mat. So you're going to turn the toes out, arms to a T, or you can reach the arms by the ears, and maybe gaze up towards the sky. And this is a five-pointed star pose, and we're going to use this to just transition right away into the left side. So from here, bring the arms back in line with the shoulders. Turn the left toes to face the back of your mat again. Make sure the knee's right over the ankle. Turn the right toes in slightly. And now we're in warrior two on the second side. Tall spine. One more breath. Turn the left palm to face up. Sweep it up and back. Arrive in that side bending reverse warrior pose. Again, maybe, just maybe, bend a little deeper into the left knee. Sink a little deeper in and open up a little more through the left side. All right, now slowly begin to straighten the left knee. Don't lock it out. Reverse triangle position. One more breath. Rise back up. Legs are straight. Arms to a T. Turn again to face the side of your mat, but this time you're going to turn the toes slightly inward. You're going to bring the hands to the hips. You're going to open the chest to the sky. Give a little squeeze of the shoulder blades together. And then slowly begin to fold. Maybe have your blocks within reach. I want you to pause about halfway down. So the spine is really flat. The torso is parallel to the ground beneath you. And then from here, you're going to bring the hands to the mat or blocks right under the chest. Before we fold, gaze forward to get more length. And then exhale, fold right down the middle into a wide leg forward fold. So similar to those forward folds we've been doing, but the legs are wider. There's a little more stretch in the hamstrings and outer hips for sure. Still though, being mindful to bend the knees. You don't want to lock the knees out. Oftentimes this wide leg forward fold, you can feel it a little more in the backs of the knees, so you don't want to feel any strain there. So if you do, bend the knees more or walk the feet, step them in a little closer towards each other. Really let the spine hang down, crown of the head melts down towards the ground. We're going to take one more breath here, and then we're going to walk the hands in until we can lift the chest. We're going to bring the hands back to the hips. We're going to ground through the feet, activate the legs. Slowly bring yourself all the way up to stand. And then from here, step the feet together. And let's walk back, return to face the top of the mat. Let's take a vinyasa together. As you inhale, reach the arms to the sky, join the palms. Exhale, fold back down to the mat. Place the palms at the low shins as you gaze forward. As you exhale, hands down, step to plank. One more time, you're going to lower all the way down to your mat. Rise up again to cobra, maybe a little higher or not. Squeeze the glutes, hug the ribs. One more breath, drop the forehead down. Tuck the toes, push to high plank. Lift the hips up, maybe walk the feet in a bit as we return again to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. So still conscious of the breaths, but now the breaths may be a little slower. We have completed all the standing poses that we're going to do today in this practice, in this class, but still working on some gentle back bends, a hip opener, forward folds, etc. From here, you're going to roll forward to plank, drop to the knees, slide the legs to straight, and you're going to lower onto elbows, forearms into Sphinx pose. All right, so we're going to start really basic, and then we'll give some add-on options. But take a few breaths here. So here in this pose, it's a very gentle back bend, nice hard opener. But you don't want to like collapse into this pose. You want to press into the palms and forearms and use that press to help you lift up from the low back. So no collapsing into the low back. All right, from here, tuck the right toes and see if you can lift the right lower shin, maybe the knee, maybe even a little bit of the thigh up off the mat. Slowly lower that down, press the top of the right foot into the mat. Take it to the left side now, tuck the toes, and then begin to float a little bit of that lower leg up. Maybe just the top of the ankle, shin, maybe the kneecap, maybe the quad lifts a bit. Keep the left toes tucked. Tuck the right toes and now both legs lift. One more breath. All right, lower the knees down, flatten the feet. Last part here, you can stay here on the elbows, forearms, or if you want to explore a slightly deeper back bend, what you're going to start doing is walking the hands out in front of you, tent onto the fingers, straighten the arms, and keep the chest open. This feels too intense on the low back. Immediately come back to elbows, forearms. One more breath. You're going to lower all the way down to the mat. Sweep the arms back by the outer hips. Turn one cheek to the mat. You're going to bend the knees, float the feet up, flex the feet, and begin to let the feet drift side to side. A nice release for the low back. Usually after back bends, but this is a pose you can do anytime. Doesn't have to be in a yoga practice. Again, if you have a sore back, tight back, painful low back, you can come onto the belly and see if this little windshield wiper movement here gives you any relief. It should, hopefully. All right, lower the legs down, bring the forehead to the mat, step the hands in by the ribs, tuck the toes, lift a high plank, take the hips up, and find downward facing dog. So we're going to come in now to a couple of hip opening poses. We're going to take the right leg to the sky to three-leg dog. You're going to step that foot forward, have both hands to the inside of the right foot. Drop the left knee down, maybe grab a block, have it nearby. Scoot the left leg back a little if you can. Open up, lengthen it more. So that's going to open up more space in that left hip flexor, coming into lizard pose. So you're welcome to stay on the hands. Put a block under the hands, a little more support. If you have more space, you want to take this into a deeper hip opener, then you can lower onto one or both forearms or have that block under the forearms. Maybe start to bow the forehead down. Okay, you want to add one more little element into this. Not necessary, but if you do, then you would roll onto the pinky edge of the right foot. So the knee opens out to the side a little more and the inner arch lifts. And then you would apply the right, say, forearm or palm to that inner knee and very gently press the knee away from you. One more breath. All right, if you rolled onto the outer edge of the foot, release the foot back down. Now, keep the left hand on the mat or block. You're going to bring the right hand to, say, the right thigh or the hip or kind of that junction where they join. And now we're going to take a little twist over to the right. Maybe look over the right shoulder. Take one more breath here. And then turn forward, lower both hands to the mat. Tuck the left toes to float the left knee up. Step the right leg to plank. Take the hips skyward. Back to downward facing dog. One more side here, left side. Take the left side, the left leg rather, up to three-leg dog. Step it forward. Again, both hands come inside the left foot. Gently lower onto the right knee. Take a moment, see if you can create more space by stretching that leg back a little, lengthening a little. Setting up for your lizard. So again, you stay on the hands. Use a block, any height under the hands. You feel you have space to go deeper than the one, maybe two forearms lower to the mat or that block. Just kind of see, don't go too deep. And if you decide to try ham of the forearms and it's too much, then again, that's your cue to come back up out of it onto the hands. Again, you want to add that little extra. You roll outer edge of left foot. Maybe use the left elbow or palm. Gently press the knee away. Open up the outer hip, inner thigh a little more. One more breath. Flatten the left foot if you roll to the edge. Keep the right hand on the mat or block. Bring the left hand to the outer hip or the thigh, or again, that kind of space where they join up a little. And then take a little twist. Look over the left shoulder. Maybe you see the back edge of your mat, or not. One more breath. You're going to unwind. Both hands down, right toes tucked, float the right knee up. One more time. Today, step to plank. Hold your plank. And then last time in this class, take the hips up to the sky, downward dog. So it's the last downward dog, but it is not the last pose. We have a little more to do. Easing it down a little bit. Take one more breath in downward dog. And then you're going to roll forward, drop to the knees. And from here, we're going to come find a seat. So here's where you can get your nice firm folded blanket or your nice firm cushion under your seat. Don't think we'll need the block for these next few poses, but have it in reach. You never know. We're going to start this in butterfly pose, which is a nice deep hip opener. Stretch for the inner thighs. So you press the soles of the feet together and open the knees to the side. So we start this, just pausing here, kind of press the elbows against the inner knees and try to urge the knees out, open the hips a little more. See if you can step the feet in just a little bit closer in towards the groin. Now, you're going to wrap the hands around the feet. You're going to lean back a little and you're going to float the feet up to hover without toppling all the way back or leaning back too far. Now drop the feet down. Release the hands by the outer hips. Press into the pinky edges of the feet and the hands. Lift the hips up and see if you can look up towards the sky, a little back bend here. Slowly lower the hips down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Hold on to the feet. Lift the feet up. Keep pressing the soles of the feet together, opening the knees wide. Don't topple back. Drop the feet down, hands by the hips. Lift the hips, open the chest. Last time, lower the hips down. Lift the feet up to hover. Stay in this elevated butterfly pose, another breath. And then last time, drop the feet down, hands by the hips. Lift the hips, open the chest. Lower all the way down. From here, slide the legs to straight. Hands by the outer hips, flex the feet. So if you remember all the cues we did, the first mountain pose we did, pressing into the soles of the feet, feeling that engagement travel up front and backs of the legs, all the way up the spine. Same thing here, even though we're in a seat. Flex the feet as though you were standing on them. Engage the legs fully as though they were supporting your weight. Lengthen up from the low back as though you were standing up tall at the top of your mat, once again in mountain pose. From here, reach the arms to the sky. Stretch all 10 fingers up, lengthen up through the sides of the waist. And then slowly take your time. Begin to fold, but pause halfway. Try to bring the arms in line with the ears. Gaze down at the shins. And then keep folding. You can drop the hands to the mat. Maybe you can take hold of the outer edges of the feet. So you could use a block here, especially if this fold is really challenging. You could place the block, say, on the shins, and then drop the forehead to rest on the block, or you could bring the block up a little closer in. Make sure both of your sit bones are grounded in this pose. You don't want them hiking up off the mat. Bend the knees a little if you feel tightness still in the hamstrings and the low back. This is a simple pose, not a lot of, let's call the word skill. I don't know if that's a word. Not a lot of technique. Technique is a better word. But it's a challenging pose. All right, especially if you have tight hamstrings, tight low back. As simple as this pose seems, in theory, it can be very challenging for many people. Slowly lift the spine. Walk the hands until you're sitting up tall. You're going to keep the right leg long. You're going to bend the left knee and step the foot in close to the groin. You're going to wrap both arms around that shin and hug the thigh to connect it to the belly. Keep the right arm wrapped around that shin and you're going to turn into a seated twist. Drop the left fingers behind you. So again, you're a pose where you want to lengthen up. Don't be concerned with how deep you can twist, how deep you can crank that spine. It's more about finding length in the spine, not collapsing into the back, lifting. Keep the right leg working. Flex the foot, push out through the sole of the foot to fully engage that right leg. Stay here on this side, one more breath. And then slowly turn forward and change sides. Slide the left leg to straight. Step the right foot in close. Ground the foot. First, we hug the thigh and we want to find that attachment of the thigh to the belly or chest. Keep the left arm wrapped around that right shin and then turn. Twist to your right. Drop onto the right fingers. Flex the left foot. Keep that leg engaged. Don't let it just be floppy, hanging out here. Watch again the spine. If you turn too deep and your low back protests, then come out of it a little bit. One more breath. All right, slowly come on to the back. If you were sitting on a blanket or cushion, move it to the side. But do have your block nearby if you brought a block along. Always a good idea to a yoga class to have at least one block, two or better, especially for those forward folds. And something perhaps to sit on. If it's uncomfortable for you to sit or you have you're straining in those forward folds, getting a little more height under your seat can be really helpful. We're going to come into a bridge pose, one more back bend. So feet hips distance. Scoot in close enough that you can reach out with the fingers and kind of tap your heels. Ground the palms and forearms, feet into the mat, and then an inhale, you're going to let the hips rise into bridge pose. So you could get that block, the low height or medium height under the low back. If you want, roll the shoulders under you a little to open the chest. Keep the knees over the ankles. So you want the knees facing forward, not opening to the side. Right. Another pose here, watch the chin, not tucking it into the chest, not lifting it up, like arching the neck, right in between the two. Stay 2 more breaths in this bridge pose. You can come out before if you want, but we're only going to take 1 more breath here. Slowly lift the hips, remove the block, lower all the way down to the mat, but you're going to keep the knees bent like this, feet on the mat, as we come into a reclined figure 4 pose. You're going to hug the right knee to the chest, and then use the hands to place, cross that right ankle outside the left knee, flex the foot. So here, this goes back to what we did earlier. We were trying to bring that shin parallel, only now instead of holding on, we're placing the ankle against the outer knee. So just kind of observe here. Just going to hold here 2 or 3 breaths. Nice little hip opener. Maybe it was challenging to find that parallel shin in the beginning because the hips were stiff, we hadn't warmed up, we hadn't really opened things up. Now, maybe it feels a little easier. It's like, yeah, I remember this pose, and this feels so much better now because I've worked for the last 55 odd minutes, whatever it's been, to do some gentle hip openers. Take 1 more breath here, and then uncross the ankle, bring the right foot to the mat, plug the left knee into the chest, and then you could use the hands, flex the left foot, place the left ankle outside the right knee, open the left knee to the side, and then come into that figure 4 shape. So you can just keep the arms by the side here and just kind of rock that knee and shin side to side a little bit. Could also bring the left hand to the left knee and use that if you want to just gently coax it open a little bit, But if you're doing that, be really easy, really mindful, make the movement really small, especially towards the end of the class like this. We don't want to go too deep here. One more breath. All right, you're going to uncross that ankle, bring the foot to the mat. Now, keep the knees bent, but walk the feet about as wide as the mat. So their feet are lined up with the edges of the mat. You're going to ground the shoulder blades, maybe bend the elbows or straighten them or somewhere in between. And just slowly let the knees drift off to the right. And then turn the torso to the left. And we're going to take 3 breaths here. And this finishing twist will be the last pose before we take a really short, like a couple minutes of rest. Talk to you about that in a moment. Hold this twist. One more breath. Slowly come onto the back. Keep the feet wide, knees point up. Let the knees drift slowly, slowly over to the left. And then begin to turn left side of the chest to the right. Taking a few breaths in this twist. Take one more breath and then come up. Slowly now, slide the legs straight and step them out, slide them out. Walk the feet a little wider than hips distance and kind of let the toes dial out to the side. But you want the legs to be really soft and relaxed here. No more rigidity, no more flexion of the feet. Everything is going to start to soften and release here. Release the arms by the sides. Maybe walk them a little away. Kind of wiggle around, get comfortable here. Make sure you're warm. Make sure you're comfortable. Begin to close the eyes, relaxing and releasing. So at the end of these vinyasa practices, these flows, try to give students 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how long the class is, how much time remains, for rest. And this pose, in the yoga terms, is called shavasana, which more or less translates to corpse pose. So it's resting, relaxing, closing the eyes, and dropping in. So let's take a bit of time here, not a long time, and be quiet and still and relax. If you would like to take a longer rest, you can rest as long as you like. Even after this class is over, if you're comfy, you feel relaxed, you feel like you need more rest, take it as much time as you need. Otherwise, if you feel ready to come out, first just begin to kind of gently wiggle the fingers and toes. I like to kind of swish my ankles side to side, rotate them side to side. Sometimes even very gently turn the head side to side. And then bend the knees, step the feet back in. You're going to gently roll to one side, right or left, doesn't matter which, and pause there a moment. And then you're going to use the hands and bring yourself up and find an easy seat.
And sit there for a moment, cross leg or leg straight, you choose. You can continue to have the eyes closed or you can have them open. And just take a moment there, observing perhaps any changes in the body. Be a little more awareness of the breath. Maybe you feel calmer, more refreshed, more energized. And then when you're ready, blink the eyes open and pause there. And that's going to be our practice. So that's a full practice, start to finish, beginning with a warm up, ending with a much deserved rest. So you work hard during the class, you flow and move and bend and breathe and challenge yourself, only to a point where it feels good. But then you start to slow it down. You come into the finishing poses, the forward folds, the twists, etc. And then you complete the practice with a rest. All right, and you can take again as long as you want. If it's not enough time, feel free to linger in that resting pose, that corpse pose, as long as you like. Thanks for joining me and hope to see you again soon in another class. Bye-bye.